Welcome to the Traveling Golfer. My name is Mike, and right across from me, on the other side of this here,
safety measure.
On the other side of this PPE screen,
That's it.
Is the Traveling Golfer, Claudio DeMarchi. Hi, buddy. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Great to be here.
Oh, man. Thanks for coming into the studio. Yeah, we'll let you know. We're together, but
we're apart.
we're also apart.
We are.
Yeah. I don't think this is... By the way, it occurred to me that I could draw on this plexiglass. I could give you the weather if you'd like. I'll get a grease pencil, and we'll be able to draw pictures next time.
We need the weather in South Carolina for this show.
Ah,
So,
indeed we do.
Throwing a curve at you.
All right, where are we going today on the tour?
Well, we're going to go look for some hidden gems and bargoons.
All right, let's do that.
You know why? Because people like that kind of stuff. And, too often we get caught up in the big fancy resorts.
Yeah.
And, when we talk about South Carolina, everybody thinks Myrtle Beach,
Yep.
Hilton Head, Charleston.
The tough to get tos. Yeah.
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 But we're going interior for the most part on this, and we're lucky to have a guy with us. We've talked a lot about mayor stuff in a show before.
Yeah.
Well, we have a guy who we might be able to consider like the mayor of golf in South Carolina.
You know what? As I look at him, he reminds me of another mayor. He reminds me of Jerry Springer. I'm sure he's heard that before. We'll get to that in a second.
Wow.
I'll remind you, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to this right now, and certainly on YouTube. And if you're on that channel, keep looking around the Traveling Golfer channel. Amazing destinations and a lot of documentation of the stuff that we're talking about. So make sure you subscribe there as well.
And travelinggolfer.net is where you can find everything.
What if people want to subscribe to your newsletter? Can they do that on the website as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, do that. Some amazing deals like we're going to talk about today show up through there. And then also some great stories and links to the podcast. All right, let us get on with our tour today.
Yes, without further ado, Ricky Saucier is joining us, or he's already joined us, and he is the owner of Golf Packages of South Carolina. So he's lived in the state he's originally from Mississippi, but he's lived in the state for a good part of his life. And Myrtle Beach, Lexington, near Columbia, and now in the Charleston, just outside of Charleston.
Ricky, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Good afternoon to you, Mike and Claudio. Good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, just last week I was reading something put out by Links Magazine on some dream golf courses, and they were, the off the beaten path ones. Mm-hmm. And number one on the list was Aiken Golf Club, which just happens to be in the Mountains to Midlands Golf Alliance. Aiken is right next door to Augusta, and it's a very neat track. But the great thing about this area is that there's more than just one golf course. Like right in that area, there are two other golf courses, Mount Vintage and the River Club, which are totally outstanding and nowhere near the price of some of the courses that you would play in high-profile areas.
What do you guys say? Maybe if you were to hit one of the high-profile courses on a day and then really make this three-course triumvirate your golf destination. So in other words, maybe highlight it with one of the big ones if you can manage to get on it at the right price. But this might be for weather purposes and terrain and vegetation. It's not going to be all that different, I'm assuming.
Well, I don't know.
No, absolutely not. In fact, some of the courses pretty much mirror each other almost. And, I tell customers, especially with Aiken Golf Club, it's going to be the shortest, longest golf course you'll ever play. So even though it's a short course, it plays really long, undulating greens, fast greens, and you got to hit the right quadrant on the green if you expect to score well. So
they're Donald Ross inspired.
Oh, so they are tricky at every opportunity.
Yes.
Oh.
And there's a lot of undulations. Unlike the coast where everything is relatively flat, in this area you do have undulations. And
You've got to factor for that backspin and being a little bit more accurate with your drop. Yeah. Stuff I can't do very well.
Yes. and these courses, like the courses are top quality. Like there's no, like the Mount Vintage one that I mentioned before, it by Golf Digest, it compares it to Augusta National.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Ricky, pitch us on a package that's going to bring us to these courses.
Oh, absolutely. Any time of the year, as we're coming up to the fall is probably my most favorite time of the year. And come into the Aiken, Augusta area. We put you up at one of the local hotels. We do Aiken Golf Club one afternoon. Like Claudio said, it's one of the best kept secrets in the whole Southeast, I would say. It's like I said, it's one of the longest, shortest golf courses you'll ever play. Just down the road, you got a Jim Fazio design and the River Golf Club. It's set along the Savannah River, backdrop of downtown Augusta. In the backdrop of this course, it's small postage stamp. You don't have a lot of traveling from tee to green, but you're looking at, from the back tees there, you're looking at close to 69.50 from the back. So it's got plenty of length of all you want.
And a lot of wetlands come into play on this course. A lot of bridges.
Right.
You got water on 16 of the 18 holes, so that falls into play. So big greens though, good sized greens there. The roll really true, a lot of undulation as well. And I guess last but not least, Claudio already mentioned it, it's probably one of my favorite newer courses. And I say newer, it's been around for right around 20 years now, but Mount Vintage Golf Club. It's a Tom Jackson design. Jackson is native or local, lived in Greenville for a long time, Greenville, South Carolina, and done architect designed many courses in North and South Carolina. 27 holes. Byron Nelson called it a magnificent layout. A lot of stacked stone bridges, tree line fairways. Truly one of the courses that I tell customers, if you don't like the way the hole looks from looking at it down the fairway from the tee box, when you get to the green, turn around and look at the tee box. It's just beautiful from one end to the other. Once again, 27 holes there. They just redid greens about a year and a half ago, and it's in excellent shape. So
we took another traveling golfer, the one from the U.S., my friend Tony Leodora. We had a little trip with him planned to give him a tour of the whole area. And when we got to Mount Vintage, I said, Tony, this is one of the best golf courses that you're ever going to play in this area or South Carolina, or I would rank it in that category. And after it was all over, he came to me and he says, Claudio's not often I want to tell you that you were right about something, but you were right about this. And then he ended up bringing a group there.
Oh, you see, See, this to me is a more achievable thing, especially in an economy where people are going to start to look out for what they do. They're looking to travel by car if they can. And by the way, this is a lovely journey. Let's say that you're from a Canadian perspective in the East. It's a great journey to there. If you need to fly from just about anywhere in America, it's achievable or drivable. And then to have on top of it the ability not to have to be at a Hilton Head, which is daunting, frankly, to get the tee times, to get the trip together, to get the expense together for it. This sounds like a way less stressful approach to golfing the same kind of golf.
Aiken is a very quaint downtown. There's an area that you can find a lot of bars and restaurants without traveling too far. And if you want the big city atmosphere, Augusta's 20 minutes away.
Right.
And you can do that. Ricky packages all over South Carolina, but he also does some work in Augusta too. So, and if you want to go to the Masters, he can help you there too.
Okay, so my buddies and I, we get a package from you. What are the hotels like we're staying in?
Well, we run the gamut from Marriott properties to Hilton properties. Just kind of we try and make available what the customer wants. For that Aiken area, it runs from the most economical would be double occupancy, $75 a day per person.
Wow.
Up to more of a Marriott or a Hilton property, you're looking at more like $140 a day. But still, very good value for what you get. As Claudio mentioned, that area is known as thoroughbred country. A lot of horse training that has gone on for the years, Kentucky Derby horses, thoroughbreds. And downtown, the alley is the area downtown that's full of fun, food and drink, and easy walking from one hotel to a bar to the next, and so it makes it quite enjoyable.
And some of the roads just outside of town, there's so much horse traffic that they're not paved. They're still dirt roads.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
It's kind of fun, kind of cool to go and just experience that. And so.
Well, this sounds like a really wonderful way to get it. And you do all the planning and everything like that. I just call you up and say, look, there's 8 of us. We're thinking this date. What do you got?
Just give me a date you want to show up and a date you want to start playing, and we'll get everything set up and get you going.
And now this is part of the Mountains to Midlands golf program. So there's not 1, there's not 2, there's not 3. There are 4 regions that we can offer up similar packages, similar type golf and accommodations. And there's a lot of variety in this whole thing. So should we take them down an hour down the road to Columbia?
Yeah, an hour down the road to Columbia, and the state's capital. And once again, I wanted to mention too, we were talking about the restaurants and eating and downtown. One good thing about the interior of the state is that with everything that's going on with this pandemic, you've got so many restaurants and downtown areas that are going through a lot of rejuvenation. So you've got a lot of restaurants that already have outdoor seating, and they are tailored for that to begin with. So that, just like in the alley area of Aiken, is predominantly inside and outside. Moving over to Columbia, you got downtown in the Vista. Same thing, number of local restaurants, local bars, and a lot of outside seating with those. Probably the best hidden gem in that Columbia area is probably one of Claudio's favorite courses from years back, the Wyndemere Club, which is a Pete and PB Dye course.
Love that course.
They were the last bastion holding out with bent greens in the area forever. And last June, they finally decided to make the move and change to Champions G12, and they're about a year into it. And it's the owner of the club actually called me yesterday, and hadn't talked to him in a while, and he was just telling me that the greens are in great shape, as they have been packed every day with this pandemic, and golf being the one sport or one way to get out of the house to enjoy and still be social distancing, as you might say. But course is in really, really great shape, a great layout, and probably Claudio's best finishing hole of any course around. It's a par 5 that runs along Lake Wyndemere, and one of those risk reward shots if you want to cut that corner of that lake to try and make it home.
Did you nail one?
It is.
Did you nail one there?
I played some pretty good rounds there.
Yeah.
I you know what? After I was first introduced to it, it was always, if we were anywhere close, it was a mandatory stop. And I have to correct Ricky. It's not just the best finishing hole. I would say 16, 17, and 18 are as good a finishing threesome trifecta Anywhere.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. That's Mike. That's a par 4, par 3, and then that par 5. And to kind of update you, I don't know the last time that there was a huge pine tree that covered the front of 16 green.
No, tell me it's not gone.
It is gone.
Storm
took some advantage. Took it down, and so they had to remove it. But it's still quite a challenging hole because when they redid that green, they kind of put a cup and saucer on it, so you got a little bit of a mound to it. So it's not so easy to. You got to put a little bit of spin on the ball. So
well, and that course along with cobblestone, there's a couple of courses that I would put up as good as any in the state. Yeah.
And
so Wyndemere Club at Cobblestone Park.
And once again, not priced like the big three.
Not priced at all like the coast.
Yeah,
let's say
the coast. Yeah.
But and this whole program we're talking about, this Mountains to Midlands Golf Alliance, has something like 50 golf courses that you can choose from in 4 different regions. So, and you'll notice that we went from Aiken to Columbia in an hour.
Yeah.
Next we can go an hour north, and we're just 20 minutes south of Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Old English District region, and it's Rock Hill would be the center of that area, and there we have another. There's probably a dozen courses in that area, Ricky.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of go back to what Mike was just saying, Columbia, playing Wyndemere, staying at a Hyatt property, you're looking at around $110 a person.
Come on.
So
that's ridiculous for a course that you guys rave about, and I know how you love golf. That's ridiculously priced.
It's for real.
So
for real.
That Rock Hill, Fort Mill area, probably the hidden gem there would have to be Camden Country Club.
Well, you stole my line. I was going to use that.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's one of the older private clubs in the state or in the country. Chartered in 1899. Donald Ross did a redesign of the course in the late, I believe it was 1920s. And I believe Claudia backed me up on this, but that's when they came in to redo Pinehurst number 2, they kind of used that as a model with all the sand and the bunkering and the small greens and so it is truly a gym with a railroad track that runs through the back nine. So,
he's stealing all my lines. I didn't even mention this to him. I was going to bring this one up, but
he's like the engine. Let's see if I got this right then. He's the engine on this one. You're the caboose.
Let's trade places. He can be the co-host.
Well, you know what? Social distancing, he could just begin now. Okay, we'll let him take over.
All right.
No, but that is, he knows the area just better than anybody. But that is a novel thing in itself, that it's built without railway in mind. In other words, it's built into the terrain, including the industry that was required to go through there.
Yes, and the other key thing that people should know about this, if you want to play there, it is a private club.
Oh, okay.
But you can get on through Ricky's connections.
Okay.
So it's not as if you could. And similarly, there's another course up in Rock Hill, which is also private, the Rock Hill Country Club, another great course, which also you can get on through Ricky's connections and his program.
Right.
But you can't just walk in off the street. And we have a few other favorites there. Carolina Lakes. I love Carolina Lakes.
Carolina
Edgewater.
Lakes, Edgewater, Fort Mill Golf Club,
Springfield,
Chester Golf Club, Springfield. So it's easy to say that whole area is kind of a hidden gem.
Edgewater is one of the video game favorites, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah, for golf. It's often featured in the video games as a whole, as a course you can choose.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's very cool.
Well, and that's another. So it's a southern suburb. Rock Hill is a southern suburb of Charlotte, growing like crazy.
Yeah.
And they've built in some really neat complexes like Baxter Village, which is right off of I-77.
Yeah, I-77. One of the best seafood, believe it or not, being this far inland, but has one of the best seafood restaurants around. The Chilean sea bass is their specialty. And it's just a great restaurant. And it too, like all the other areas, that Baxter Village is just a 4 or 5 block area with restaurants, pubs, ice cream parlors, and a lot of outdoor seating, a lot of outdoor live music, and just an easy place to be from the lodging that we utilize. And so it's makes for a good weekend, 4-day package, and plenty of places to eat and drink.
One more region. Where are we going next?
Well, how far do you think it is to the next region?
I'm going to guess an hour. Is there a pattern to this?
It's about an hour,
Okay.
maybe an hour and 10 to this one, but we're heading into the hills. We're going upcountry.
All right, head for the hills, everybody.
Head for the hills. And we have one of the fastest growing cities in South Carolina. At least it was.
Yeah.
And
Great at Greenville, Spartanburg area is quickly growing, and 2 of the best in state courses up there, and both of them happen to be university courses.
Oh.
The Walker course at Clemson University and Furman University golf course, both just out of this world courses. Clemson is probably one of my favorites. Furman is more of an old school style golf course where greens aren't raised, and you can punch the ball in versus having to throw it in there with a short iron. But still very challenging golf course. You got as well as downtown Greenville. You're talking about growth. Downtown Greenville years ago was your typical southern little town, but now it's probably 16 blocks long of restaurants, pubs, and music venues as well.
yeah, a lot of nice.
Sounds fun.
It's like Yorkville for us here in Toronto,
Right.
where you've
Just
got
a
lots
really nice market, restaurant, resto bar area.
ultra modern, but
Yeah.
quaint still.
No, that's
You know?
nice. Yeah.
So
Well, this sounds like a great way to put a tour together. How do people get in touch with you, Ricky? How do we do this?
Well, they can go to my website. It's www.golfpackagesofsc.com. You can also call me toll free, and this is for MDM as well as golf packages. Toll free number is 888-501-0954.
888-501-0954.
And if anybody wants to go on to the Mountains to Midlands website, that's m2mgolfsc.com.
All right.
And there's all the information. The website is broken down into 4 regions with the golf courses, accommodations, attractions, and restaurants all listed. And direct link to Ricky.
Yep. Direct. They can email me from either website.
Awesome. Ricky, thanks for your time today and taking us on a tour.
Hey, man, thanks for putting up with me.
And did we tell them that your favorite football team that's the one in Columbia, right? That no, or maybe not. Okay.
Up the road a little bit.
Could you not poke at our guest, please?
He's a fan of the Upcountry Clemson team, and I can't blame him. They've done okay in the last couple of years.
Once again, when he pokes at our guests, I don't even know what to do. I'm glad that you joined us. No matter what terrible team you select. All right. Well, thanks, Ricky.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thanks, Ricky.
Well, there you go. South Carolina, cheaper than you thought you could do it, and courses that you didn't probably even know you had access to. all kind of in one place. It was good having Ricky on, give us that
Yeah,
perspective.
and so much variety in terrain. Like when you get up into the Upcountry Greenville area, you're in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, I got that impression as I kind of envisioned. That's what I love most about this podcast is I envision these places based on your descriptions, and I start to plan a trip there. And I could see that quadrant being a really interesting trip just for the terrain alone.
Well, part of what we say about this is you can play one or you can play them all because, as you know, they're only an hour apart in whichever direction. But we also ask people dare to compare quality of golf versus what you're paying.
Yeah, it's an interesting proposition, actually, just to even try both while you're there.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
All right, let's do this. Time to head into the wine cellar. As you may or may not know, our good friend Claudio here, a good curator of golf courses for sure, and great vacations that include golf, but also his experience in fine dining and wining has led him to be a very good curator of wines. And people request this of us, so we've added this to the show. It's called the Wine Cellar, and every week we get a reveal on some good wines based on price, quality, and availability. What are we doing this week?
Well, we are going to someplace that not many have dared to go.
Where's
Well,
that?
at least for me, it was a dare to go and adventure in white wine.
Okay.
You know, I've always said I don't drink a lot of it, but when, I do like to try it, I need to explore and expand my horizons. So this wine was a steal.
It was a good deal.
It was a good deal.
And did you actually steal it this time?
I did not. I paid a whole $16 for this Chardonnay by Three Thieves.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Haha.
I've never, I think the name sounds familiar to me, and I don't know why. Is this a very popular brand overall?
Well, it was new for me, but
Okay.
it's not anymore because since then I've picked up the Cab Sav, and they have this other one that's a red blend. It's all just called the blend.
Oh.
And surprisingly enough, the Cab also $16, but the blend was $17.
What is the blend like? Just curious.
It was very good. It was a nice, rich tasting wine. The blend is actually Zinfandel and Merlot for 30% each.
Okay.
And then Cab 20 and Syrah 10. So
Oh, that sounds interesting, actually.
lots of good flavors in that one. Cherry, hint of vanilla, smooth and full-bodied, and
But you entered through the white door.
I did.
And what was that like?
The white door was very refreshing. Also, when you look at Chardonnays that are $16, you don't expect it to taste like a $30 Chardonnay. And this one had the feel that maybe I stole one.
Wow, that's a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, and the other interesting thing about this one is that it disappeared quickly.
Aha. Yeah.
So
The word got out.
Well, yeah, and
Or a restaurant grabbed it and went for it.
and by the time I finished 2 glasses, I was on to my 3rd before I knew it, and so it also disappeared in that way.
I see. It's magical. Somebody stole it. It was stolen away.
Everything is very steely in this one.
And the Chardonnay, I believe, was the other one that they had out.
Yes, nice, black currant cherries. That's very full, vibrant, and really long, smooth finish.
Would that come in? About $16 as well?
A whole $16.
Wow. These are good value wines for good quality.
Well, it's funny because people are always looking for something really good and they're afraid to pay big bucks. Well, you don't have to.
Sometimes you don't. It's a matter of actually taking the right recommendations, and I hope people do for this. Once again, Three Thieves, and
The Chardonnay, the Cab Sav, and the red blend, and I'm going to try the Pinot next.
we are going.
Noir.
We are going to continue giving you the wines. Will you maybe update us on the Pinot as well?
Absolutely.
Let's sneak that one in next time. So now you have an assignment.
Can do that.
Here's your assignment. Should you choose to take it, we will continue to bring you some great spirits, wines, and beverages from the Journeys and beyond that you'll find associated with our golf vacations here. Don't forget to visit travelinggolfer.net, 1L in traveling. We're Canadian, don't you know, eh? And also subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to it, including on YouTube. Claudio, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, man.